Welcome to episode 373, where I'm answering questions from the Elements of Ayurveda podcast community. And I answer questions on how to get rid of that sluggish feeling in the body and mind, especially after the holiday season. I answer a question about sinus infections and memory problems. So please stay tuned. Hi there, I'm your host Colette, and on this podcast I will be sharing the teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and holistic health practices. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend checking out the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. Thanks for listening, and now here's a new episode. Hey there, it's Colette, and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast, and Happy New Year to you all. Wishing you all a happy and healthy 2025 and beyond. And I'm starting the new year with some Q&A, and these questions have come in from the Elements of Ayurveda podcast community. If you want to know more about that community and connect with like-minded people, just click on the link in the show notes, and you'll find all the information there. So let's get right into the questions. The first one is from Nancy, who says, I can't seem to kick this sluggish feeling for the past couple of months. I feel so tired and my mind feels so slow too. I would appreciate any tips you may have, Colette. Okay, thanks, Nancy, for your question. And sorry to hear that you've been feeling this way. And you know what? It's kind of a typical feeling after the holidays. We've overexerted ourselves maybe and richer food than we're used to. So this kind of feeling, and especially this time of year, it can be normal. And that's not to say that you should accept feeling this way. But I'm not sure where you're living, Nancy, but in the Northern Hemisphere, we are in winter right now, which is kapha season, when the weather is cool and wet and heavy, with the ground soggy and saturated with rain and snow. These qualities are the same as the qualities of the kapha dosha, and so like is increasing like. And when the kapha dosha rises in the body, it can result in feeling lethargic, dull, heavy, sluggish, and lacking motivation. Now, of course, Nancy, I would love to ask you more questions so that I can tailor the advice to you, but I'm definitely going to give you some general Ayurvedic tips to help combat sluggishness. And the first one we want to look at is the Agni, or our digestive fire, making sure that your Agni is working optimally, in that you're feeling hungry for your 3 meals per day, you're digesting your food well without any discomfort, so no burping or excessive bloating or gas or any pain, and that you're having a daily bowel movement that's well formed and easy to eliminate. Now, if your digestive fire is not working optimally, then this can lead to undigested food, which results in ama, or toxins in the body. And these toxins play a major role in how we feel on a daily basis. And longer term, they can lead to imbalances and disease. Now, if your digestive fire is sluggish and you're not feeling hunger, or you feel heavy after eating, then a general tip is to sip on hot water throughout the day, because this will help to stimulate your Agni, your digestive fire, and to wait until you feel hungry before eating. So when you have that sluggish feeling and you're not feeling hungry, it's best not to eat. Simply sip on some hot water, or you could add a slice of fresh ginger to your hot water, because this will help stimulate digestion, and then wait until you feel the sign of hunger before you actually eat. When you're feeling sluggish, it can be tempting to reach for caffeine or sugar for stimulation. However, this will only give you a short spike in energy and then a big crash. And so you want to eat healthy, warm, easy to digest foods with digestive spices like ginger, cumin, fennel, black pepper, and cinnamon. These will aid digestion and circulation. So you could make things like simple broth with vegetables. That's ideal, especially when your digestion is feeling sluggish as well. And you will want to include lots of fiber because this will help to keep things moving through your intestinal tract. So lots of cooked seasonal veggies. And it's important to hydrate as well to aid in elimination. All that fiber needs lots of hydration, again, to be able to move things through the intestinal tract. You want to avoid raw foods, cold foods or drinks, anything that's hard to digest like comfort foods, stodgy foods, and stop eating 3 hours before bed to allow your body to digest before sleeping, as this is when your digestion will slow down. And if you eat late and then go to sleep soon afterwards, all that food is sitting in your system. And that's one thing that can really create a sluggish feeling in the morning. In regards to Ayurvedic herbs or supplements, triphala is a great Ayurvedic herbal supplement to help maintain digestive balance, which is essential for combating sluggishness. And triphala can be found easily. It's spelled triphala for those of you who are new to it, but it's quite common. And I'll put a link in the show notes where you can order triphala online and receive a discount off your first order as well. You know, the doshas are always fluctuating as they're influenced by our diet, our lifestyle, stress, climate, season, age, so much. And it's important to determine if you have a doshic imbalance that needs to be addressed and a holistic plan put in place to help restore balance. But in general, if you're feeling sluggish and tired, you'll want to bring in the opposite qualities to bring balance. So introducing stimulation, movement, and activity will be ideal. Stimulation can be introduced through the diet with the digestive spices I just suggested, and also joining group activities so that the energy of the group energizes you and keeps you accountable to show up also. When feeling sluggish, movement is very important, and especially if it's a kapha imbalance, you want to be up early and moving early in the day during the kapha time of day from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Sleeping in past 6:30 a.m. will only increase that feeling of sluggishness because you're sleeping into that kapha time and you're going to take on some of those qualities. So getting up early and getting to that group exercise class or making an exercise date with a friend would be perfect to increase your energy first thing in the morning. And then if you start your morning with exercise, you're more likely to make good, healthy choices throughout your day. The next tip would be to live in tune with the circadian rhythm, which is really important. And I bring it up all the time in my episodes. And I discussed the circadian rhythm in detail in episode number 8. If you're new to the circadian rhythm, check that out. But getting to bed before 10 p.m. and rising early, as I just mentioned, before the kapha energy increases from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is really important. And also getting outside during this morning time and exposing yourself to the natural sunlight, as your eyes need light to help set the body's internal clock. And the early morning sunlight has been shown to help improve sleep and boost our mood. So I think it's really important during these darker days of winter to make sure you're getting some sun exposure first thing in the morning. Daily dinacharya or your self-care practices, again, something that's foundational in Ayurveda, and I discussed in detail in episode 16, but these are really important to help keep your doshas in balance and overall beneficial for your body and mind. One practice I would add if you're feeling sluggish is dry brushing in the morning to help stimulate circulation and lymphatic drainage. And you do that with a dry brush going from the extremities towards the heart, and doing that before your abhyanga, the oil massage and bathing, would be ideal. We also need to take into account the mental gunas of sattva, rajas, and tamas. And in particular, in the case of feeling sluggish, the mental quality of tamas may be involved, which can direct the energy downward, acting like a gravitational pull and increasing heaviness. When the mental quality of tamas increases, it can then result in increasing feeling of inertia, dullness, heaviness, slowness, and a lack of awareness, which can result in a dark, depressed, or delusional mind.
The rise in the tamasic quality in the mind can result in being attached to pleasure like food, social withdrawal, and lethargy. To release this hold of tamas, it's important to again improve your agni, your digestive fire, exercise, set goals, and have discipline, and take part in inspirational activities. Something that's going to uplift your spirit and really give you some momentum. And that could be yoga class, meditation, maybe book clubs, but something that really inspires you. And also keeping a gratitude journal can really help to uplift your mood and pull us out of that tamasic mindset. Now, I have to say, this heavy pull of kapha and tamas can feel like you're physically and mentally moving through mud or quicksand. And it can be challenging to lift yourself out of this gravitational pull of these qualities. And that's why I recommend taking part in group activities so you have accountability and motivation from others. And now, if I was in consultation with somebody in this situation, I would recommend my Digestive Reset Cleanse, as this will help eliminate any accumulation of ama or toxins. It will reset the digestive system or the agni, and it will pacify the doshas and release the hold of tamas by promoting the mental quality of sattva, which is balance and harmony. And my next Digestive Reset Cleanse starts January 31st, 2025. This is a discounted group cleanse where we have a private community for support and accountability. And this cleanse comes with a 90-minute online consultation with me so that I can have a good chat with you and understand your current health status. And then I can tailor the recipes, the self-care, the yoga, the mindfulness, and so on to you and your lifestyle, making sure that it's not overwhelming for you and that it fits easy into your day so you can go through this cleansing process without adding extra stress to your day. I'll put a link to that group cleanse starting January 31st in the show notes, or you can just visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. And for the January 31st discounted group cleanse, go to the events page. And if that date doesn't work for you and you want to do a cleanse, I have a private cleanse also. Same structure, but you just get to choose your own dates and you have me one-to-one for support. So make sure you register in time and book your 90-minute consultation before the slots book up. Okay, Nancy, so I hope that answers your question. So the advice I've given you here is general advice, which will help, but I always do recommend getting advice tailored to you, especially when taking Ayurvedic herbs, as you want to make sure that their qualities and actions are beneficial for you and not driving you further into imbalance. And so I do suggest consulting with an Ayurvedic professional because it's important to tailor the information to your unique constitution and your current health status, as any doshic imbalances would need to be addressed. And please reach out if you have any follow-up questions. Okay, my next question is from Elaine. And she says, I have reoccurring sinus infections and I'm trying to avoid taking antibiotics. What can I do to heal my body and prevent this from reoccurring? Hi, Elaine, and thanks for your question. And sorry to hear that you've had reoccurring sinus infections. They certainly can be very depleting for the body with the many symptoms that can occur with a sinus infection, such as nasal stuffiness, a runny nose, sore throat, postnasal drip, cough, loss of smell, of course, the sinus pressure pain behind the eyes and tenderness on the face, fatigue, ear infections, fever, and headache. And there can be many other symptoms too. But our sinuses are air-filled cavities either side of our nose, which act like a humidifier, keeping our nasal cavity moist. And the mucous membrane lining of the sinuses transform the dry, cold air into air that's warm, moist, and healthier for our airways and lungs. And the sinuses drain into the nose. So really, they're like natural humidifiers, but they can be affected by bacterial and viral infections, allergies, and the common cold. And it can result in a blockage of the sinuses or sinus infection called sinusitis, which is an inflammation of the tissue lining of the sinuses. So first of all, Elaine, we need to relieve your symptoms, clear the sinuses and the nasal passages, reduce inflammation, and then boost your immune system. Now, if I was doing a consultation with you, I would determine which doshas are aggravated as the symptoms and treatment would vary. For example, if it was a vata aggravation, this can lead to dryness in the nasal passages and the sinuses with little to no mucus, and the contents that are there can be dry and hard. There may be a feeling of constriction or pain in the forehead or temples and possible dizziness or lightheadedness. If there's a pitta aggravation, this can result in a yellow or green mucousy discharge, indicating an infection or inflammation. And this can be accompanied by a burning sensation in the nasal passages and intense or sharp pain or pressure in the sinus region. A kapha aggravation can result in a thick, white, or cloudy mucus discharge, often in large amounts, and there may be a feeling of heaviness and congestion in the head and sinuses, with a feeling of stuffiness. This may be accompanied by a dull, persistent headache, especially on the forehead and cheeks. So, Elaine, without knowing exactly which doshas are aggravated for you, I'm going to give you some general, holistic Ayurvedic tips for managing sinus health. The first one would be steam inhalation. Just adding a few drops of eucalyptus oil, or if you don't have eucalyptus oil, you could add some freshly sliced ginger to a steaming pot of hot water. And then leaning over that pot with a towel over your head and inhaling the steam. And this can really help to loosen the mucus and relieve congestion if there's congestion there. And then applying a warm compress around the sinus areas like the forehead and the cheeks will help to ease discomfort and open the sinuses. For sinus headache relief, you could make a paste from sandalwood powder, which is ideal for pitta, or if it's a vata or kapha aggravation, you could use cinnamon powder. Just add a few drops of water and then applying that paste to the forehead for a few minutes. And you want to keep your head and neck warm in general with a sinus infection, and it's helpful to avoid cold, damp conditions. The next tip I would suggest is clearing the nasal passages and the sinuses with a saline solution, which helps to clear any mucus or allergens from the nasal passage. You could use a neti pot, or you could use a squeeze bottle if you can't do a neti pot. For some people, it's hard to drain from one nostril to the other. And what you want to do is add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in 1/2 cup of lukewarm water. And this is best done first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, but you could also do it during the day as needed if you're feeling very congested. Then I would suggest following that up with a nasya therapy, which is a nasal oil application to prevent dryness. By the way, dryness is something that can happen also during flights. So bringing a little nasya oil in your carry-on when you're traveling is really beneficial to prevent dryness and can help to trap any airborne allergens. But nasya therapy is simply done by applying a few drops of warm medicated oils into each nostril to clear and lubricate the sinuses. And you can purchase nasya oil drops. And actually, I'll put a link in the show notes where you can order nasya oil online and also receive a discount, or you could just use organic cold-pressed sesame oil as well. Some simple home remedies to decongest clogged sinuses are to grate a 1/2 teaspoon of fresh ginger and take that with 1 teaspoon of raw honey 2 to 3 times a day. The pungent effect of the ginger and the warming effect of the honey can be really good for clearing the sinuses. You could also mix a pinch of turmeric powder and ginger powder in warm water to reduce inflammation and improve immunity. Or you could make a paste with cinnamon powder and honey, which you can eat as is, or you could add that to hot water to help fight infections and soothe the sore throat. It's very important to stay well hydrated, which will help to keep the sinus membrane moist and promote sinus drainage. So make sure that you're staying well hydrated throughout the day and avoiding cold, heavy comfort foods and dairy. because these foods can increase mucus and congestion. And instead, stick with easy to digest foods with digestive spices, like I mentioned earlier, the ginger, cumin, fennel, black pepper, and cinnamon, which will aid digestion. Oil pulling is a daily self-care practice that could be really good to introduce if you're not already doing it. And using like an organic cold pressed sesame oil and swishing that around your mouth and pulling it between your teeth. And that can help to remove toxins that aggravate sinus issues. Of course, once you're done with the oil pulling, you spit that oil out. You do not swallow it because it can be full of toxins. And breathing practices like Brastrika breath or bellows breath can help to invigorate the respiratory system and remove sluggishness. If you're feeling lightheaded, I don't recommend Brastrika breath because it can be too stimulating. And in that case, I would recommend Nadi Shodhana or alternate nostril breathing. Now, if you're not familiar with these breathing practices, then check out the link in the show notes for my pranayama tutorial where I cover these breathing practices. And my final tip would be cleansing, because it is a key aspect of Ayurvedic treatment for sinus infections, as I just discussed with nasal cleansing, steam therapy, and cleansing the digestive system is also important as it helps to remove the ama or toxins from the system, balance the doshas, clear blockages, restores balance to the body, and boosts the immune system. And cleansing therapies are most effective when tailored to the individual's current health status. So there you go, Elaine. I hope this general advice helps, and please reach out if you have any further questions. And I would really recommend, if the sinus symptoms persist or worsen, like you're getting a fever, severe pain, or if you have a lot of yellow or green discharge, then it's important to seek professional attention. Okay, moving on now to the final question from Anna. I have been noticing that my memory is not as sharp lately, and I'm concerned. I'm wondering if you can provide any Ayurvedic tips to help improve my memory, please. Hi, Anna, and thanks so much for your question. Our memory is strongly influenced by our doshas, and particularly the kapha and vata doshas. And let me explain why. In episode 107, titled Subdoshas of Kapha, I discussed the subdosha Tarpika Kapha, which is located in the brain and spinal cord. And Tarpika Kapha nourishes the nervous tissue, protects the nervous system, and it's present in the white matter of the brain, nourishing the brain cells. Now, Tarpika Kapha is present in the myelin sheath, which is a protective sheath that surrounds most nerve cells and protects the impulse that goes from one neuron to another neuron. Ayurveda explains that Tarpika Kapha provides a sensitive film to the neuron where every experience is recorded. And in short, Tarpika Kapha is our filing system of past memories. When aggravated, Tarpika Kapha can result in a dulling of the mind, a lack of sensory perception or understanding, slow learning, and slow memory recall. And in episode 103, titled Subdoshas of Vata, I discussed the subdosha of Udana Vayu, which is an upward moving energy, and it's mainly located in the diaphragm and moves upward through the lungs, throat, and the brain. Udana Vayu energizes the brain and memory by moving oxygenated blood upwards. And if Udana Vayu is aggravated, this can manifest in the lack of upward moving oxygenated blood to the brain and can result in poor memory recall and indecisiveness. Therefore, we really need to look at both the Vata and Kapha doshas when it comes to memory problems. And of course, I would like to chat with you further, Anna, to get more insight and to give you more tailored advice. However, I can certainly give you general advice today. So let's start with food, as this is what nourishes the cells and tissues of our body and keeps our doshas in balance. You really want to focus on eating a sattvic diet of fresh, prana-rich, nourishing foods that are seasonal, organic, local, and not highly processed. Eating in accordance with your unique constitution and the seasonal guidelines is ideal. and also being aware of any subtle imbalances in your doshas so that you can make adjustments in your diet and lifestyle to restore balance before it manifests into a bigger issue. Yes, this does require some learning, and it's the most fascinating study that you'll ever do, as it's a self-study informing you how to navigate life and make the best choices for your health and well-being. So if you're lost or overwhelmed, Anna, reach out, because this is what I do in my online consultations. I educate my clients on their unique constitution, their signs of imbalance, and put a strategy together for their diet, lifestyle, self-care, mindfulness, exercise, and lots more. And my goal is to empower my clients to take charge of their health and well-being. So if you're feeling that it's all too much, please reach out. But there are many foods that you can introduce to your diet, which are brain nourishing foods, like healthy fats. For example, ghee, almonds, walnuts, and seeds like chia seeds and flax seeds, avocado, green leafy vegetables, whole grains, and fatty fish. Now, with fish, it's best to choose fish that are lower on the food chain, like sardines, as they're less likely to contain contaminants such as mercury or polychlorinated biphenyls or PCBs, compared with larger species like tuna or swordfish, which are eating the smaller fish, and then that accumulates in their tissues. So choosing the smaller fatty fish is ideal, and sardines are great. And of course, dietary choices will be tailored to you in an Ayurvedic consultation with meal plans and doshic food lists. Now, sleep is one of the 3 pillars of health and extremely important for our memory, as poor sleep disrupts memory consolidation. Getting to bed by 10 p.m. before the pitta energy rises, and the pitta energy rises, of course, to help digest our food, thoughts, and experience from the day, helps us to detox and rejuvenate the body and mind. And if you're not in bed by 10 p.m. and you're up and using energy, then you're taking energy away from that internal cleaning process in the body. Now, if you're not familiar with the circadian rhythm and why 10 p.m. bedtime is important, then check out episode 8, where I'm going to detail on that. Your dinacharya, of course, the daily self-care practices, which I discussed in episode 16, is very important. And there's a reason I keep mentioning the circadian rhythm and dinacharya, as they are the foundation of our health and well-being, which help to keep our body and bodily systems in a regular rhythm and help to keep our nervous system and mind grounded. Memory problems can also be caused by stress. And so it's important for us to manage stress and build up a buffer to stress with things like exercising daily, a daily walk in nature to improve our blood circulation, calm the nervous system. And of course, practicing mindfulness is always wonderful to manage stress too, like yoga, meditation, and pranayama. Now, there are certain yoga postures which help with the brain and improve blood flow to the brain, and they are sarvangasana, or shoulder stand, and halasana, or plow pose. These postures not only help to improve the blood flow to the brain, but also calm the nervous system and boost focus. A regular meditation practice improves focus, calms the mind, and strengthens the memory. And chanting mantras like at the end of your yoga practice or the end of meditation practice can really help to enhance mental clarity. And pranayama, or breathing practices, are very beneficial. As remember, I mentioned earlier that the subdosha of Udana Vayu is mainly located in the diaphragm. And by practicing pranayama, you're using the diaphragm and in turn stimulating Udana Vayu. Breath practices can also calm the mind. For example, a vata aggravation with an overactive nervous system and anxiety can benefit from a nadi shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing practice, which helps to improve cerebral circulation and balances the body, brain, and mind. And for a kapha aggravation, Brastrika breath or bellows breath can help to stimulate the mind and enhance mental clarity. Again, check out the link in the show notes for my pranayama tutorial for guidance on these breathing practices. It's also important to avoid overstimulating the nervous system, which can lead to confusion and poor memory. And this means being aware of what you're taking in through your senses, avoiding excessive screen time, and especially that hour before bed, which can really affect our sleep. And we also want to avoid multitasking, which can really scatter our focus. While we want to avoid overstimulating the nervous system, focused mental stimulation is important, and keeping your mind active with learning activities, studying, reading, or puzzles can be really helpful for the mind and memory. There are many wonderful Ayurvedic herbs renowned for enhancing cognitive function, memory, and concentration. And I discussed many of these in episode 302 titled Ayurvedic Herbs for the Mind and Nervous System. And finally, cleansing, which is always an essential part of our holistic healthcare plan, as a tailored cleanse can help to pacify any dosha imbalances, eliminate any accumulation of amur toxins, clear any mental fog, and rejuvenate the body and mind. So there you go, Anna. Lots of tips there to help you improve your memory. And please don't hesitate to reach out with any further questions. And thanks for sending in this great question. So there you go. That completes the Q&A episode. And I just want to mention again that the Ayurvedic guidelines here are general tips. Ayurvedic guidelines and treatments are most effective when they're tailored to your unique constitution, which is your prakriti, and any imbalances that are showing up, your vikriti. And so if you want support and tailored advice, then check out my online services. I have online consultations, which are focused on healing, education, and empowerment. The Digestive Reset Cleanse, I already talked about. The next discounted group cleanse starts January 31st, 2025. Or you can opt for a private cleanse and choose your own dates. And if you like to study by yourself, I have my online Daily Habits for Holistic Health program. That's a 28-day self-paced program with the objective to help you live in tune with the circadian rhythm, implement Dinacharya, the daily self-care practices, and educates you on how to become your own healer. And I combine all my services in my Reset, Restore, Renew program. That's a lot of information, I know, but check out my website where I have a comparison chart where you can see what you get with each service and you can decide what's best for you. And if you want to chat before booking, then take advantage of my free 15-minute online Services Enquiry Call. We can hop online and I can answer all of your questions. If you think that this episode will be helpful to family or friends, please share it with them so we can spread this wisdom of Ayurveda. And if you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so, and the new episodes will automatically download for you every week. And if you feel that you're getting benefit from this podcast, I would really appreciate a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. That will help spread this wisdom of Ayurveda further. Please come follow me on social media. My new Instagram page is Elements of Ayurveda Podcast, and on Facebook, you'll find me under Elements Healing and Wellbeing. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate your support. And again, wishing you a happy and healthy 2025 and beyond. And until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.